Hello there, this is Cridical from Cridical Media, just taking a look at the 2024 Prestige hardcover release of The Batman First Night by Dan Jurgens, Mike Perkins, and Mike Spicer on the colors. And what we usually do at this channel is give you an idea of what to expect if you ever come across these books in the wild. So we go over the exterior, some bonus material, art and plot points, and then a brief review at the end. Now, yes, this book, as kind of the cover and even the title, First Night, appears. Yes, this is an homage, or should I say a story set in the golden age of Batman, but it also serves as a period piece as well. Pretty damn faithful. And yes, this book, it is one of the three Prestige releases that DC had announced. So, there was like City of Madness, Gargoyle of Gotham, and then Batman, or should I say The Batman First Night. Yes, back in the golden age, it was always The Batman, right? But yes, in this case, at least looking at the cover here, yes, it is in fact a Mike Perkins design. And you can see it's hearkening to one of those most iconic Batman images, just using it as the silhouette. And I appreciate that about this book. You're going to probably notice that throughout. That, yeah, it does have a lot of those referencings there. But yes, at least in terms of the further on the exterior of the dust jacket, yeah, your typical spine design, nothing going crazy, but it does kind of serve as somewhat of a wraparound because it also has another homage to another awesome Batman cover from the golden age, again using it as a silhouette to kind of just identify. So it's a little bit more than the par for course on the rear of the book, so definitely appreciate that. Now, underneath the dust jacket, we do have this awesome work here by Mark Aspinall, pretty much hearkening to those old pulp novels. This one pretty much nails it. It's absolutely a reference to the Shadow back in the day. After all, Batman is based on the Shadow, that character, Kent Allard or Lamont Cranston, whatever you want to call him. But I love this design and this pulp aesthetic, because even Mark Aspinall, he's even worked on some of those Criterion films from back in the day, just doing like updated covers. And yeah, he still manages to get that same tone, that same earthy tone that those old movie posters used to have in those pulp comics. So awesome work in this sense. Super appreciative. And yes, at least the spine does follow suit with another excellent piece on the back here. Love that image. So definitely appreciate the attention to detail in that sense. In terms of bonus material, I will admit, surprisingly, we're just getting a bunch of, covers, right? I do wish that we had a bit more in terms of, I guess in terms of interviews and whatnot, because this is an interesting little piece of work here. After all, you rarely get at least these kind of visceral takes on the Golden Age. But yeah, there's that same image there from the same Mark Aspinall. Yeah, he pretty much did a lot of the work on this book. And it's funny because the art in the book, in the main series by Mike Perkins, it reminds me a lot of Sean Phillips, the same guy who works with Ed Brubaker a lot. And wouldn't you know it, Sean Phillips' son, Jacob, is actually the one who does this cover. Definitely appreciate that nice little look. Super appreciative. Again, that's awesome design here. In this case, yeah, this is from the exterior. And yeah, you're just seeing a lot of work from, Aspinall a lot. A lot of it actually is hearkening to him. Yeah, he clearly tried to dedicate himself to this series. But yeah, you kind of see what I mean. Surprisingly, not much in terms of bonus material. But at least it has these awesome bookends that really do set the tone for the kind of setting you're getting here. Because as we move into the art and plot points, yeah, you are getting a sense that this is not just a hearkening to the Golden Age. As mentioned, it's more of a period piece. So it does often relay a lot of the manias that were going on, during the late 30s. This is pre-America joining World War II. So you have a lot of that anxiety being, echoed by a lot of the public, all the ancillary characters and whatnot. But, as per Batman, and this is a far more grittier take. This is a Black Label book after all. So, it's very unapologetic with the language it uses and, the prejudices, unfortunately, at the time. Like, unfortunately, race relations aren't what they are compared to today. Not saying that we're perfect today either, but hey, we'll get there one day, I guess. But yeah, in this story, you're getting a lot of unapologetic takes from characters. So yeah, as usual in a Batman story, it involves a bunch of city councilors getting, murdered in very gruesome ways. In this case, like just head ripped off, and it's pretty graphic imagery. Let's just put it that way. You aren't probably approaching this book in the same way as others, where it's like, damn, you didn't really need to show me that, did you? That kind of jazz. But one thing I like about Dan Jurgens, and yeah, he's a stalwart among DC, heck, and just in comics in general. But one thing I like about his writing a lot is he managed to get the dialogue to match the period very well. Like when this character comes in, this Tart, the recently deceased counselor's little guma, the way she talks, she uses a lot of vernacular of the time, like kappa, nah. The way she talks, it's very of the time, and you can almost hear it as you're reading it. It's very on point in that sense. But yeah, you have these very unapologetic takes. I know I keep saying that, but it's pretty much accurate. After all, this is like the late 30s. We're still dealing with a depression, right? Along with the depression, the anxieties of a potential war. But again, what this book does very well is it matches a lot of what was going on in the golden age of Batman, at least prior to Robin a year later, where, he's far more violent than he normally is. He was somewhat of a gun-toting hero, and, he always used to walk around with those little pellets, those little science chemical pellets he would throw at enemies or help himself out of situations. But that's kind of the beauty of this book. It really does take the right notes and tones from the, original series, right? So yeah, and in this case, yeah, I'd say in terms of like supernatural effects, yeah, he's dealing with a situation where there are these killers that seem to be, like really, really disfigured and whatnot. And they're just merciless killers, and they're pretty hard to take down. They're almost enhanced in a similar sense. It's funny because the story that Jurgens seems to tell here, it harkens to like two different Golden Age stories. Like one with Hugo Strange, also playing with this kind of concept of, mutated men. And another story involving gaming the prison system. Because ultimately there's some sort of connection with the prison system that, Batman keeps linking this all to. But at least in terms of the art here by Perkins, as mentioned, it reminds me so much of Sean Phillips, but the kinetics are very, very visceral. Like, it's excellently paced, if you ask me. It really conveys just how dangerous he can be. The fact that he does have his limitations. He can't just handle everything. And, it does get all the mechanics of Batman right. I mean, heck, even down to the pellets that he eventually uses. He stops carrying a gun because his pellets can kind of do the same kind of damage anyway, kind of thing, right? So it's pretty impressive in that light. And also, I like the design philosophy that Perkins went with, because, even the facial figure of Bruce Wayne, he reminds me a lot of Gregory Peck, and I feel like that's highly intentional. After all, two of the greatest heroes ever, right? Or at least Gregory Peck played one of the greatest heroes ever. But nonetheless, in terms of this kind of design philosophy, you're also getting awesome notes from the Golden Age, like especially Julie Madison, his first love interest ever. You'll definitely learn that in the beginning. And yeah, it's very accurate to the way she was depicted in that book. She's no fool. She's very, very clever. She may be an actress or an aspiring actress, but she's no dummy either. That's one thing I definitely appreciate about it. And also this aspect with, Batman, I guess because it's the early days, or it's supposed to be the early days of Batman. While he may have his own convictions, he seems to be kind of blind to the fact that there are other people out there that are doing what he's doing. They're just not fighting the war in the same fashion. For instance, there's this character Maxie. Yeah, he's a pimp essentially, but he actually takes care of his women as opposed to them being with another pimp who might, keep them on drugs or something like that. He at least has an honor code. So it's funny, like, you're doing crime, but you still have a certain sense of honor. Kind of reminds me of a vigilante beating on criminals kind of thing. I like that parallel. And I like how it's not lost on this character Maxie, but it seems completely lost on Batman. He's that delusional. Remember, folks, he is insane for what he's doing. Let's never forget that, right? But probably one of my favorite aspects of this series is when it gets to the whole prison aspect. And yeah, you're just seeing this awesome effect in the way this whole situation is handled. Yeah, you can kind of see it here, Batman on the electric chair kind of thing. But I love the way this whole scene plays out because of all the subtext in it. I remember when I was reading the series initially, I have to admit there was a bit of a red herring aspect to this whole sequence. You think it's one person, but it's actually another. But yeah, you're just getting this awesome, striking art by Mike Perkins, man. I wish I saw more of his art in general. I wish I owned more of his work. But yeah, I just like how they keep re-emphasizing the concept that he's not just Batman, he's the Batman. He's still a mystery to people. Not too much exposure, so that myth of the Batman is more powerful than when I guess he becomes more and more popular through things like Justice League and whatnot. But yeah, you can definitely tell. Mike Perkins, he was going for that, true golden age aesthetic for Batman, even down to the purple gloves. Definitely appreciate that. He seems much more, tactical and well designed. Like he doesn't just have like all these, magic things going on with his utility belt. It does have like a fixed amount of products he can actually keep in it. So very much appreciative there. But yeah, overall, I gotta admit, this story, it's super awesome. Like just the way I guess Dan Jurgens kind of rationalizes Bruce Wayne in this series. Even his little explanation over the guns and how he gets over that concept of relying on them so much. But yeah, just an overall epic story. I don't want to flip too far because I have to admit the ending is a lot more surprising than you expect. But maybe I'm just gonna hold off on this particular page because this is pretty much a good, pause point for it. But it also reminds you that, this is in fact a DC Black Label, So it does have a little bit more cussing. It's, as I mentioned, it's very unapologetic about the times. Yeah, it's dealing with things like, the way the Jewish community was being dealt with, or, unfortunately other race, kind of prejudices and whatnot. But it kind of creates that, educational aspect, realizing that, some people just had to do what they had to do to survive, especially in these kind of times, even in the U.S. prior to joining the war. But nonetheless, overall, I love the whole aspect with Mike Perkins and the way he approached doing this story, keeping a character's anatomies intact. Because this book, it really does play like a film, thanks to that. Like these lifelike, interpretations of all these characters that we're so used to. It's awesome. I love how it's just, very subtle at times and very, very accurate. As I always like to say, very on point. But you know what? It's an awesome series. I'm almost afraid I almost spoiled something there, but it's all good. Honestly, the ending of this book is very, very on point. Like you would kind of expect it, somewhat cliche, but at the same time, it's kind of hearkening to those golden age days where they keep trying to make you think it's one character that's at the head of it all, but it's all turns out to be a red herring kind of concept. Awesome work. I really wish DC would keep emphasizing this kind of idea, not so much with Batman, but just with other characters, giving them the kind of love they did with this whole prestige format approach. Personally, The Question is one of my favorites. He has one of them, The Many Deaths of Vic Sage. That's probably like the bread and butter for me. But this one, along with like City of Madness and maybe even Wonder Woman, Dead Earth, I love these prestige format books. Just the design gives enough of a deluxe format, but wide enough, almost square, wide enough for you to appreciate the art nonetheless. But anywho, that's just my 2 cents on it. And as always, I wouldn't mind hearing your 2 cents in the comments down below. Y'all folks take care and enjoy the rest of your day.